Entertainment and sports programming network, mixed martial arts, is a... Who cares? These guys couldn't run a banana stand and we expect them to run an MMA media company. ESPN MMA somehow manages to find the absurd balance between corporate slop and unprofessional, oftentimes meaningless reporting. Did you know that Jack Della Maddalena posted a YouTube video? And every single post is filled to the brim with emojis. How am I supposed to take these guys seriously? This cut on Bilal Muhammad's lip, exploding head. This half-speed sidekick from Natalia Silva that effectively serves no purpose was beautiful. Wide eyes. Like some guy in a boardroom compiled the numbers and putting emojis in your posts increases engagement by 0.6%, so everybody just had to go along with it, right? 1 million views, here we come. If they never signed a deal
That's
with
what
the UFC
AI tells you. AI tells you them emojis fucking draw attention.
Exclusive rights, these fucks would have nothing. No personality, barely journalism, right? Brett Okamoto carries this company more than I carry MMA YouTube, and that's a lot. Rumors of Brett Okamoto wanting to leave have been swirling around for the last little bit here.
Yeah.
He signed a new deal in 2022, but given how ESPN treats him, he might as well leave like Ariel Helwani. When you hear Daniel Cormier on the UFC broadcast trying to peddle good guy, bad guy with Chael Sonnen, that's because it's the only thing that ESPN...
I've been watching it lately. It's not too bad. It's much better than that coon Ryan Clark, dude.
MMA has going right now. I thought that their YouTube banner was simply the highlights of their channel. Nope, those are just their media personalities, and they only have 3 of them. Ariel walked and took his also dwindling fan base with him, so they can't even rely on a consistent show during the week. ESPN MMA also contractually has to cover the PFL because they have a media deal with them, so every once in a while they'll talk about that. Nobody watches, but they'll talk about it. And everything just feels so cheap, like we got the C team doing the media here.
Yeah, it's weird that they have PFL on there because UFC doesn't vibe with PFL. So it's like they choose not to promote PFL as to not upset their competitor, UFC, that they, for no reason, chose to air. They chose to air that stuff. Sorry, I noticed one of my tomato plants isn't doing too well. The other one's still got some life to it. But yeah, I can't believe they would air PFL. Maybe they thought they could just be the hub for MMA, not realizing the beef that was there.
So we can get all the smart people covering basketball and football. I was talking about their banner a second ago, but just look at this shit. I could make this in 3 minutes. And their channel logo isn't even cropped properly. YouTube makes you put in a square image and then turns it into a circle. You can see the red outline peeking through here. If they just would have either made the square gray itself or had the gray circle a little larger, it would have sorted itself out, but it's just so lazy. Are they that short-staffed to where they had to get DC to make all the visual pieces? The UFC is most likely going to leave ESPN because their broadcast quality is so hit or miss, as well as them not doing nearly enough to help promote the UFC. Dana White is the main promoter of the UFC, and you can for sure argue that he isn't really doing his job either. He's off doing side quests, hanging out with his high school sweetheart, while Hunter Campbell tucks the kids in. But when you sign a multi-million-dollar media rights deal like this, it's expected that ESPN take on some of that burden as well. They get exclusive access to fighters and fight footage, but they don't take advantage of it nearly enough. The independent guys on YouTube collectively do more promotion for the fights than anyone else.
Yeah.
ESPN.
Yeah, this whole shit, I mean, my whole thing was to help promote and eventually, like I knew on this journey, I knew it'd be lonely, but I was like, eventually, with the help of me and a few good men, this sport will be so popular where everybody's watching it, but we're not there yet.
MMA talks with Volk, 165k views. Lucas Tracy talks with Volk, 165k views. I don't think that's because Volk only has that many people willing to watch an interview. I think that's just shoddy work on ESPN's part, and Lucas Tracy marketing himself, as well as the interview on multiple social media platforms. ESPN didn't even say, hey, look at our Volk interview. That never happened. He has 17% of the subscriber base, and he's getting similar numbers. Now, I for sure understand the argument that a Lucas Tracy fan is more hardcore and therefore already more willing to buy the pay-per-view than a casual, so it won't translate to more pay-per-view buys. That's fair, but the numbers still don't add up on ESPN's part. MMA guru, love him or hate him, will usually build hype for a pay-per-view. A legion of people watching a card while rooting against someone is better than them not watching at all. Looking into the documentary guys on YouTube, they get better numbers than the ESPN documentary pieces as well. And they can't even use fight footage. ESPN has all the tools to be killing it in the space, but they are unwilling to deviate from the formula. Like before Good Guy, Bad Guy, in 2020, they had the DC and Helwani show.
Loved
and then
it.
A little later on, they had DC and RC before Ryan Clark got kicked off for saying that the UFC should close down women's bantamweight after Pennington versus Buena Silva. DC and Helwani had good chemistry and their thumbnails were cool. They ended up moving the needle a little bit, but ESPN is still holding on to that, trying to force this. Just two guys chopping it up, talking about the sport they love shtick. It's getting pretty old. So VampiricLegz, have come up with some ideas that ESPN could use to regain some relevance. Hire a current MMA YouTuber and give them a show and a platform, the whole kit and caboodle. Just a one-man podcast where they talk for an hour 3 times a week. Give them access to your 2 million subscribers.
That would be fucking amazing.
That you have with some fighters, hook them up with some interviews, and just have them
hire
do
the
something
guys at
similar to what they
Calf Kick
probably
Sports.
already do. Find someone who walks that line between entertainment and excitement whilst not being too controversial. Or you could go with a little bit more of a traditional pick and get a fighter. I heard Anthony Smith started a podcast. No, not him. Get somebody else. You don't want to bog down people's feeds too much, but ESPN should focus on original content that helps to promote MMA as well as the UFC. Get someone who's almost the opposite of DC, like Dan Hardy, maybe. That could be interesting. Get someone doing serious
That'd be cool.
film breakdowns, like the ones Luke Thomas does. Just anything but lame post-fight interviews and corporate slop. I was taking a look at their Instagram posts and stumbled upon this mock poster that they made, which is horrendous.
Yeah.
But there was a comment that really stuck out to me. Friend of the channel, Tony Has Died, commented about the face-to-face interviews, and I couldn't agree more. The fighters interacting at the press conference is one of the highlights of Fight Week, so forcing them to sit so close to each other, asking them loaded questions, maybe raise the temperature in the room, fiddle with the thermostat a little bit, and I feel like it could be a winning formula.
I miss that
shit. And if
the
UFC specifically doesn't want to do this, I'm sure that ESPN has the means to make it happen. And finally, they could also hire me. Here's my resume. Handsome. Applied for a lot of jobs. Been watching MMA for a while. Did I mention I'm handsome? ESPN MMA should succeed. With bajillions of Mickey Mouse bucks, the green light from the UFC to have unfettered access to fighters, and a fan base starved of content. But they just don't care. Let's hope that they can put it all together before the UFC leaves for greener pastures. Tell me what you think
Let's see
about
when this
ESPN
happens.
MMA in the comment section below. If you like people talking about MMA media, here's another video you might like. I'm also working on something like this video on broader MMA media, MMA journalism, so subscribe for that.
Shout out to VampiricLegz for that interesting take. ESPN MMA does suck at the moment. It doesn't really I don't really go to that channel for anything. I'm honestly shocked when I realize, oh shit, this is ESPN MMA, because they usually don't post too much of anything. Nothing that cool. UFC's channel has embedded, and I'm so on embedded, but yeah, this channel sucks for the most part. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you guys fan of ESPN MMA's YouTube channel? Do you think they need to hire people like your boy to come in there and really spice things up? But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys for being here once again. If you are here this long, hit that like, hit that subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.
I'm more Francis Ngannou. I be the biggest problem out of any nigga I know. A little old school, like some 45 vinyls. You niggas old duels, what that do to the wino? I do it the commercial way, pay without the splits.